Today was day 7 in the trial against Lindsay Clancy, and the former nanny for the Clancys testified. I want to get to that testimony in detail, but first, just a very brief recap of the medical and forensic testimony from days 6 and 7. They were both short days, so I'm combining them into one recap. We heard from medical witnesses that Lindsay was hypothermic when she arrived to the hospital. She also had serious spine injuries from her fall from her second-story window. We have been hearing over and over that Lindsay's lacerations to her neck and wrist were superficial, but we got a little bit more detail from a physician assistant today in court. He testified that one cut on her left wrist required one suture. It was deep enough, it was 2 centimeters, and one cut on her right wrist was 3 centimeters deep, and it required 3 sutures. So 4 sutures in total, and the rest he did describe as superficial. We also heard from forensic witnesses who talked about the blood that was found in the bedroom, the basement, and outside of the home. They also spoke about the knife that was recovered and the exercise bands, prescription bottles that were found in Lindsay's home, but we have heard about most of those items in previous testimony. Toxicology testing was also discussed, where they detected prescribed psychiatric medications and benzodiazepines in Lindsay's system, but no alcohol or illegal drugs, including THC. That was not found in her testing. Toxicology testing of the children did not detect any substances. The parties entered into several stipulations, which is really agreeing on some of the evidence, and that made me believe that we would have less witnesses because we wouldn't need to hear testimony about the items that had been stipulated to. Well, we heard today from a DNA evidence witness, and I want you to listen to what the defense attorney said during that testimony.
Do you know how many people are on Earth? I know it's...
This is typical DNA gobbledygook at this point, Judge. I object to the strike.
Well, I object to his objection.
That's
Ridiculous.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
they're going to talk
You
about
can ask.
not millions and how many
Counsel, can I see you over at sidebar?
I might understand where Attorney Reddington was coming from, and I also might question how that witness answering how many people are on Earth would help this jury determine what they will have to determine at the end of this trial, but I did feel bad for the witness in that moment. Now, I want to get to the testimony of the nanny. If you felt there was anything from forensic or medical experts from day 6 or 7 that I didn't bring up that you'd like to bring up in the comments or discuss in the comments, I welcome you to do so. This is Elaine Rossi, and she was the nanny for the Clancy family. The children, and even Patrick and Lindsay, apparently called her Lainey. Lindsay had posted online looking for a nanny, and Lainey replied. She met up with Patrick and Lindsay and the children in July 2022, and she started working for them in September. She originally began working for them because Lindsay had a plan to return to work in November 2022, so Elaine Rossi was going to care for Callan once she returned to work, but they wanted to give her some time to get to know the children before Lindsay was not going to be there. She also helped with Cora and Dawson at times. She helped with food preparation, school routines, light laundry, and housework. And Rossi said that she offered to do those extra things outside of caring for Callan because those are items that she's done for previous families that she nannied for. She generally worked 3 days a week from 6:30 a.m. until 1:30 in the afternoon, but the schedule was sometimes adjusted and it was flexible. Rossi said that she and Lindsay communicated frequently through text messages. She also said that Lindsay kept a notebook in the kitchen which contained information and instructions about Callan's eating, sleeping, and daily schedule. This notebook is very important, and this is not the first time that we've heard about it. The Commonwealth has tried to portray Lindsay as meticulous and controlling because of things that she wrote in this notebook to the nanny. But when Rossi was asked if she thought that these instructions were controlling or overbearing, she said that she did not. Even instructions about things like how the children's food should be cut, she said that in her opinion, these were appropriate instructions from a mother to someone who was caring for her young children. Rossi testified that sometimes when she was working at the Clancy home, Lindsay would be there, and other times she would be out taking Cora and Dawson to school or exercising. She said that she saw Lindsay playing with the children, and when Rossi was alone with the children, she would send Lindsay text with images or videos of the children, and Lindsay would reply. One of those videos was played by the Commonwealth, and it showed Callan drinking from a bottle. There was an objection from the defense just before this video was played, but after a sidebar, it was still played. Rossi did say that she was aware that Lindsay was struggling. She said that Lindsay told her that she was experiencing postpartum and issues with sleeping. She said that Lindsay told her about sleeping in the basement sometimes. Rossi did see prescription bottles in the home, but she was not aware of the emergency room visits that happened in November and December of 2022. She did notice that Lindsay was losing a significant amount of weight, and she said that she brought that up to Lindsay. But she did not see any decrease in Lindsay's activity. She did not describe Lindsay as detached from the children, and she never had any concerns about Lindsay being around them. She also testified that Lindsay never told her about any intrusive thoughts about harming herself or the children. Rossi also spoke about the children. She said that there was one incident where Cora had taken some Play-Doh from Dawson, and Dawson got frustrated and hit Callan. She said that Lindsay came in, took Dawson out of the room, and came back to console Callan. And then Lindsay went to talk to Dawson about his behavior. Rossi said that this was handled very appropriately. She also spoke about what each of these children were like. She said that Cora was a girly girl who loved babies, arts and crafts, and playing supermarket. She said that Dawson was full of energy, rambunctious, and silly. She said that Callan was the happiest, sweetest, and easiest baby. Once Lindsay decided that she would not be returning to work, Patrick and Lindsay let Rossi know in November that they would no longer need her services because they would both be home to care for the kids. They gave her a 2-week notice, and her employment with them was over in early December 2022. She said that they ended on good terms, and she even texted Lindsay during Christmas 2022, and Lindsay did reply. Now, after the children's lives were taken, police interviewed Elaine Rossi. She said that she told them about working at the Clancy home and what she observed. She told investigators the same thing that she told the jury today. When she was asked if she ever had concerns about Lindsay caring for the children, Rossi answered, "None at all. She was a wonderful mother." She said that Lindsay loved her children and was deeply concerned about their safety, their well-being, and particularly Callan's eating and sleeping. During the cross-examination from the defense, Rossi was asked whether she loved Lindsay, and she answered, "I did love Lindsay, yes." What I took away from her testimony is this was a nanny who cared about this family, who cared about these children, and she seemed very genuine in saying that Lindsay loved her kids. Lindsay did not seem like a danger to her kids. So let me know what you take away from that testimony. Court will resume tomorrow at 9 a.m. and I'll bring you another recap after they wrap up. Until then, and most importantly, as always, rest in peace to the 3 children at the center of this case, Cora, Callan, and Dawson.